Welcome back to the dojo, y'all. Welcome back to the daily discussions. I am your host, Professor Hawk Sensei, and I'm glad you're tuning in. I'm glad you could join me. Today's topic of discussion is conflict of interest. Yes, conflict of interest. 2 points I want to make, right? I want to first give you an example of what a conflict of interest is, just in case you may not be sure. We're here to learn. So, allow me to teach, right? Usually this is more so a political term, you know what I mean? Government and, stuff in high society. I want to use a personal example. Let's say hypothetically you're a girl. I'm going to use, this might be a little far-fetched, but just walk with me, okay? I'm not trying to be racist or nothing. I'm just trying to draw an example so you understand what a conflict of interest is. All right, here we go. Let's say you're a white girl, right? Your father does not want you to date outside your race. There's this Spanish guy at school that you got your eye on. You really like him. Here's the conflict of interest. You want to make your dad proud. You want him to love you and not disown you and whatever, right? But at the same time, at the same token, in your heart, you're pining for that spicy Mexican. You just want to taste. And you can also flip this the other way around for a guy, but it's usually not really the same way on our side of the fence. But that's a conflict of interest. You know what I mean? Another conflict of interest could be you have a particular job or whatever, and it goes against the code of conduct to, do social media or have fraternization or romance in the workplace. Right? That's another conflict of interest. In your heart, you may want to be with this person. You may want to be romantically involved or whatever. But it goes against the company policy and you may lose your livelihood because of that. That's another conflict of interest, one the older people may be able to relate to. Now, another thing I want to say about conflict of interest in terms of definition of action would be equated to fence sitting. You're not really choosing a side, you're just, walking in the middle, walking the middle ground. You're not trying to go left or go right. You just, want to have a foot in this and a foot in that. You know what I mean? In the Bible, it teaches us to be one way or the other. The Most High said, I would rather you to be hot or cold. If you are lukewarm, I will spit you out. What does that mean? What does that mean? I'll break it down for you. Right? God is saying, I would rather you be good or evil. Even if it's just in your own mind or your own heart, I would rather you be good or evil. If you were somebody who would sit on the fence and not choose a side, choose which way you want to go, you will be rejected outright. What I really see there is God can respect someone who chooses to be evil, if only they choose and are honest in their choosing. Not someone who says outright, I want to be a good person, but then goes and does evil where nobody can see. But when you can see them, they're giving to the homeless. You know what I mean? They're sharing their wealth. They're giving people opportunities. But behind closed doors, they're doing some of the most twisted and wicked things you could ever imagine. That's a conflict of interest. Conflict of interest. Even the Bible talks about conflict of interest and how detestable it is to have a conflict of interest. You have to choose a side. Loyalty is one of the most valuable things in this day and age. So valuable that people will buy your loyalty. These people who quote unquote selling their souls and doing blood sacrifices for fame and fortune and all that, you could say the record labels or Hollywood or the media or whoever, right, has total control, has total influence over what they do. Now, if they were to speak out and go against the machine or the agenda, that would then be a conflict of interest, because if we are to believe all the research and homework that's been done as it pertains to Hollywood and the upper echelons of society, we know that these people have to do rituals. These people have to do blood sacrifices and take oaths and promise their allegiance and loyalty. And if they go back on their word, that could be their ass. And if it's not them getting, sent on up to the upper rooms, they'll be character assassinated. See how much the world and even the divine hates a conflict of interest? Everybody hates a fence sitter. So the reason why I want to talk about conflict of interest today is because in this life, you're going to have to choose your side. You're going to have to choose where you're going to place your loyalties. Who will you work for? Who will you serve? You could just serve your own interest, but it's always got to be that. It can't be anything else, because that will be a conflict of interest. The turmoil may come on the inside. You may feel wrong for being so selfish. I don't know. Unless you're a psychopath or whatever. You know what I mean? Off your rocker or whatever. But going further with conflict of interest, you need to know what you want. You need to know who you are and where you want to go. And who and what you want to center yourself around. We got to choose. You don't got to do it today or tomorrow, but ultimately you have to make a choice. Which way do you want to go? It's not that hard. It's really not. A good friend of mine made me realize that I like to think more than I like to do. I really like to get up in my head and just start cultivating and imagining ideas and thoughts. He didn't say it outright, but he made me realize that I really like to think about things and fantasize. You can think all day, but ain't nothing gonna get done. You gotta do, right? You can think all day, but you gotta do if you want to get something done. You can't get something done just simply by thinking, unless you're calling the shots and thinking of how we can get this thing done better. You more likely in the boss's seat, the king's chair. You know what I mean? But if not, you got to decide where your loyalties and your interests will be placed. Because it's very important not to have a conflict of interest. Getting married is a very, very, very important commitment. It's really vocal devotion when you go up to the altar. But what most people don't realize is marriage is a business. It's a contractual agreement. And the state is involved. If I'm in a relationship, I just want it to be me and that person. I don't want the state or the government involved in that relationship. If you want to get married for love, and you don't read the fine print that's in that marriage contract, you'll realize that you have a conflict of interest. You thought this was about romance. You thought this was about love. No, this is a business. This is a business. And what do businesses have to do? They have to make money. Yes. Oh, yes, indeed. It is almost imperative that you are married if you want to climb the upper echelons of the corporate ladder. Why? You being married means that you have to hold a certain level of standard in the public eye, in the public arena, because you're married, right? You got to play the game. So when you do things that forsake your marriage, people get a better look at what kind of person you really are. You know what I mean? If you'll cheat on your wife, you'll cheat on the business too. Is a reason why a lot of, people in influential positions are married, because it will reflect extremely poorly on them if they do something that disintegrates or dissolves the sanctity of marriage, especially in the public eye. That's why it's almost necessary, if you want to climb the corporate ladder and you want to get up to the upper rooms, you want to get up to where the big dogs are stepping, you're going to have to get a ring. Because you got something to lose. You feel what I'm saying? You got something to lose, especially if you got kids. You need this. And they need to know that they have your loyalty. Don't show that conflict of interest. It's going to put you in a world of hurt. Now, I can go on and give you multiple examples about the same stuff, but I think we've pretty much explained all I needed to about conflict of interest, so you can understand the importance of choosing your path and choosing your side and not straddling the fence. Because even the Most High is completely against that. I really think the fence sitters will be in the worst parts of hell, as opposed to the ones who openly, willingly say they serve the serpent. But with that being said, I hope you're waking up every day with a plan, a purpose, and a smile. And if you're not waking up with a plan, purpose, and a smile, hey, at least you're waking up. Professor Hawk signing out. Hawk Sensei bids you adieu. Hope you're waking up every day with a plan, purpose, and a smile. If you're not waking up with a plan, purpose, and a smile, hey, at least you're waking up. Go ahead and leave me a like, because I know you like this. Go ahead and share that video. Send it down the way, because you ain't selfish, you ain't stingy. And last but not least, subscribe, because you came back too many times not to push that button. Take care, y'all.